I'm Al McGee with YETicket.com. I also am here with Steven, and he's with MovieNight.net.
Thanks,
And
Al.
he's a film critic. And also, he's with a few associations.
Oh, yes, I'm the chairperson. I'm the chairperson of the Florida Film Critics Circle.
Thanks for telling us. Well, we're going to talk about this movie, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Let me tell you, I really don't like that title, Honor Among Thieves. But, you know, we all fall for that these days. How can a thief have honor? But they try to do it in this film. And also in this film, too, they try to do a lot of things. But they have a very, very, very good cast. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Regé-Jean Page, Sophia Lillis, Justice Smith, Hugh Grant, and Chloe Coleman, and Daisy Head. Man, so what do you think about the cast of this film?
Well, the cast is great. I mean, although there was a Dungeons and Dragons that came out years ago with Jeremy Irons, and Jeremy Irons is great. And anyone who's seen that movie knows that Dungeons and Dragons was a really, really bad movie. So the bar was set very low.
I don't even remember it. I don't even remember it.
That's how bad it was, Al.
I know, man. I don't even know if I saw it.
Because you forgot it. I still remember it.
Well, let's tell you a little bit about the story. Well, Edgin, which is played by Chris Pine, well, he became a thief, and he was with this group, and they stole something that made the Red Wizards mad, and they went into his house and killed his wife. Now, he had a wife and kid, and so Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez, helped him to raise his child, but things happened, so he had to give up his child, and he went to jail. And of course, you know, then adventure started out because he wanted to find his daughter. That's the capsule of that story, right?
Yes, in the world of, and this is all taking place within the world of the famous game people grew up playing, Dungeons and Dragons. So it's in that world of mystical creatures and dragons and other monsters and, like, you know, humanoid creatures that can be like the bullhead or eagle or something like that. So you have all these mystical creatures. And one thing, if you are a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast, you are gonna have you could have an Easter egg hunt like you never believed before. There's so many Easter eggs for people who play Dungeons and Dragons. They really, for that part, they really did fill that out. You're gonna see so many aspects of the game into this movie.
Yeah, and they had to cast and many spells and things like that, and a lot of things had to happen for them. Now, I never played the game. Did you ever play the game?
Actually, believe it or not, even though I have that kind of, like, you know, geek culture, no, I never played Dungeons and Dragons.
I talked to a couple of people,
but I know all about it. I was well versed in it. I just never played it.
Yeah, it was very popular. It was on the news and things like that. You knew about it, but if I couldn't make no money off of it, I didn't play it.
Yeah.
So, you know. But what do you think about the action during this film?
Well, you know, it's funny because just last week, John Wick came out, and John Wick movies always have these great action sequences. No matter how many come out, they're always unique and engaging. And for the most part, except for the very last action sequence, I was not really impressed with the action scene in this movie. I actually felt them kind of flat and dull. You know, this is one of those movies where you have two directors, and I think it's one of those things when, you know, sometimes you have like the Coen brothers or the Russo brothers who just work so well together, but other times you have a team of directors and it's just like, you know, one's doing one thing, one's doing another, and you get this very uneven movie. For example, there's a lot of comedy in the movie, and the comedy, it does work. It's very funny. I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
Laughed a lot. So there is a lot of humor in this, in a lot of laughs, but I just felt the action really was just, like, you know, uninspiring. Remember, this is fantasy. The fantasy genre is probably the hardest genre to be successful in, because, you know, it's a really, you know, there's like so many different rules and things you have to accept, and sometimes, you know, you either can accept the world you're watching or not. And I just felt, especially when it comes to some of these action sequences dealing with the monsters and so on, I wasn't really moved. I thought it could have been a lot better in action sequences.
Yeah, I thought they could have been a lot better too. And then directors John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, I think they did an okay job with this film. But I agree with you. The action scenes did not work for me, but all the other scenes did when they were explaining the magic and things like that, and what they had to do to create that magic. And you know, they had also three writers for the script, and I just feel the actors had to truly believe that this was going on, that this works for them when they were shooting this. And also, I feel the storyline though is something you always seen before. I gotta find my daughter or my son. You know, that's trivial. What I mean by that is that's common. It's yeah, it's you know, I just saw another movie last week about that. So that storyline didn't work
But
for
this,
me.
again, this is taking place in the fantasy world, and that's the other thing. I never really believe that these actors grew up in this kind of environment of mystical creatures and so on that's accepted with red wizards and so forth. So it's like, I wasn't really believing that all these characters grew up in here. So I just
Right.
these actors doing a part, reading their lines, and they were fine acting wise. I just at the same time I never believed they were really part of that world. I mean, Michelle Rodriguez, who I always love and everything, but this could have been easily her same character from Fast and Furious, Fast and Furious movies being transported to this world. They could, they're almost interchangeable.
Yeah, that's what I thought about too when I saw her too. And also I liked but I did like Regé-Jean Page though, you know. All the young ladies love this guy. I think he added a little something to this film when he with the short brief moments that he was in the film. And also, what about Hugh Grant? I like Hugh Grant in this film.
He was good. He was delightful in this movie. He on the other hand, he is one character who I do believe grew up in this world. He was like, he plays a little bit of a slimy character, but funny and but not. He's a villain, but not he's not really good in his role as villain per se. Not meaning
Exactly.
not I mean Hugh Grant is good. The character he plays just is just not a great villain in himself. So I thought Hugh Grant played that part really well. He's actually one of the highlights of this movie, Hugh Grant.
Yeah, he is. That's the second highlight for me in this film too. Well, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. How would you rate this film?
I also felt it's over 2 hours. It was a little too long for me too. That was another issue. So I only giving it 2 out of 4 swords.
Hmm. Well, I'm giving it 2.5 because I did have fun watching this, and like I say, the comedic scenes really work for me. I really laugh at those. But you're right, the action and also were the characters really believable in this film? That's the problem I had, that they were not used to this environment. So I'm just giving it 2.5 palm trees out of 4. But I did enjoy and I did have fun watching the film.
Okay, and I think the audience who saw it generally did enjoy it too. So even though you and I are a little not sour on it, but not enthusiastic, other people may have a better opinion of it.
Yeah, I agree to that. Well, okay. Thank you, MovieNight.net, Stephen Leibowitz. I'm
Always a
glad to
pleasure,
see you
Al.
today. Thanks for being with me to help review this film, Dungeon and Dragon, Honor Among Thieves. I don't know how they can achieve that, but that title, oof, this really didn't work for me at all. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Al.